I just bought the brand new Nintendo Switch 2, which can run 120 FPS and even has a brand new feature that turns it into a gaming PC.
So inside of this box is the brand new Nintendo Switch 2, which was definitely really hard to get considering this thing is literally out of stock in like every store. But yeah, this is the brand new Switch, which took around 8 years to actually come out. I'm pretty sure the original Nintendo Switch came out in like 2017 or something. So the Nintendo Switch 2 is definitely gonna have much better specs inside since literally everything will be upgraded to like the most modern stuff. But yeah, here it is. We have the Nintendo Switch 2. I did also have to get like the Mario Kart game with the Switch, which I believe costs $50 more. So originally the Nintendo Switch 2 does retail for about like 550 bucks or something. But this Nintendo Switch right here, I did pay over $600 for. So yeah, you guys can already tell the Nintendo Switch 2 is definitely a lot more expensive compared to the original Nintendo Switch, which I believe retails for only about $300. So it's almost double its price. So hopefully this thing performs a lot better compared to the original Switch, because the original Switch was like super bad. It ran only about like 20 to 30 FPS, even though it had like a 60 hertz display in it. So here is the Nintendo Switch 2. You guys can see it's literally like the same size and build. I'm pretty sure they only changed the specs, like the design and build did not change at all. You guys can also see the Joy-Con right here. So instead of it mostly being like the bright colors, they actually reversed it and have it mostly be black and then only hints of like the bright colors, whereas the original Switch was like mostly bright colors and a hint of black. So it's kind of like a reverse color design, which is pretty cool. So we have both of these Joy-Cons right here. We have like an orange one as well as the light blue one. I also did hear that you could actually turn these Joy-Cons into like a keyboard and mouse type of thing. So I'm actually really excited to see if we can actually play Fortnite on this Nintendo Switch using like this kind of new input that the Switch actually has. So yeah, really cool. Inside the box, we also have like the warranty stuff. We have an HDMI cable. Oh yeah, we also have these two things. I'm not sure what this is. Kind of looks like some lanyard type of thing for like the Joy-Cons. Really helpful if you guys are like bringing this outside or whatnot. Inside, we also have this thing right over here, which actually looks like it's a connector thing for like the Joy-Cons to make it actually play on like a controller type of thing. So really cool. There's actually a lot of stuff in here. We also have obviously the charging cable. This thing is just a USB-C cable. I'm also pretty sure the Nintendo Switch 2 does take up like more power or whatnot. Obviously it should, just because the specs are much more powerful. So we are getting like a lot more FPS from the Switch 2. And then we also have this huge thing, which should just be like the Nintendo Switch dock or whatnot to connect it to like HDMI. So yeah, we have this thing right over here. The design of this thing actually changed compared to the Switch 1. I actually like the design of this one a lot better. I'm not gonna lie. It feels like a lot more easier to actually navigate and stuff. But yeah, this thing, you actually allow it to plug in USB cables. All right, but taking a look at the Nintendo Switch 2, I'm pretty sure they're gonna release like an OLED version a few months later or whatnot, just like how they did with the original Nintendo Switch and like the OLED version. But this one right here actually has a LCD display, which I believe is 7.7 inches. So really makes for such a great handheld device, especially since they upgraded all the specs and stuff. The display is, I'm pretty sure, 120 hertz. So we should be able to run 120 FPS, although I doubt we will, just because the Switch 1 did have a 60 hertz display, but that thing literally ran 30 FPS. But hopefully with all these new upgrades, which basically has faster RAM speeds, more RAM, a better GPU, a better CPU. I believe the RAM inside of this Switch 2 is actually LDDR5X, which compared to the original Switch was a LDDR4. And then it also has some upgrades to CPU and GPU. Just basically more modern stuff, just because the original Switch came out in 2017. So yeah, we should be able to run 120 FPS on Fortnite, which is literally a game changer, especially on the Switch. People have literally played Fortnite on 30 FPS for like the longest time on Switch. So this is definitely gonna be a huge upgrade. Ooh, I actually really like these Joy-Cons. It feels like really nice. This thing actually feels really smooth. The overall build of these Joy-Cons are really nice actually. But let's go ahead and actually connect this thing to the Nintendo Switch screen. It should just be like magnetic, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, oh. That's actually really cool. I think compared to the original Switch, that thing wasn't magnetic. So that actually makes it really cool that it's just like magnetically connecting. That's actually fire. Here it is. We have the Nintendo Switch 2. This thing is like fully black, as you guys can see, which I honestly like better than it being like super bright. This is like a huge upgrade in design compared to the Switch 1. I'm gonna go ahead and take my OLED Switch and compare it to this Nintendo Switch 2 later, but it looks like there are a few nice design changes. Holding this thing, it definitely isn't like really heavy, and if this thing can run 120 FPS in Fortnite, it honestly might be even like this thing might actually be like top 3 in like gaming handhelds. It will be a really powerful handheld for sure. And then we can honestly use this thing right here. Is it magnetic as well? It is magnetic. Okay, that is actually really cool. Let's go ahead and just connect this thing magnetically, and yeah, you guys can see this thing became like a Nintendo Switch controller just like that. Boom. Just like that, and you can just play the Nintendo Switch. 120 hertz display, really nice. Okay, now comparing the size of the original Nintendo Switch, which I have over here, this is the OLED version, you guys can see. But yeah, the original Nintendo Switch is actually a lot smaller compared to the Nintendo Switch 2. I thought they were the same size, but you guys can see the screen is definitely a lot smaller compared to the new Switch. And also I want to see if the Joy-Cons are actually like magnetic. No, it's not. This thing just slides right in the original Switch. While the Nintendo Switch 2, this thing is a magnetic connector, which is really cool. Also, the Joy-Cons obviously are bigger in the Nintendo Switch 2 compared to the original one, but it is a completely same design, same buttons in everything. That's actually really nice. They actually made the screen definitely a lot bigger. I think the screen for the original Nintendo Switch was like about a 5-inch display. I'm not too sure, but the new one I'm pretty sure is close to 8 inches. And then taking a look at like the speakers on the original Nintendo Switch, you guys can see, I believe this is like the speakers for the original ones compared to the Nintendo Switch 2, which is like super visible. You guys can see it's right here, super visible for the speakers. Yeah, this is definitely a huge upgrade coming from the original Switch. I'm actually really excited to test this thing out. It should be so much faster when playing Fortnite on the Switch now. I mean, back then you are in a huge disadvantage playing on a Nintendo Switch, but now this thing is literally gonna have like PS5 performance, which is just ridiculous. All right, let's go ahead and plug in the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, let's go ahead and turn this thing on. Oh my. We have the Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah, this screen is definitely a lot bigger, and why is it like low-key brighter and like more vibrant? Even though this thing isn't like a OLED display, that's actually really cool. Oh yeah, the speakers are definitely a lot louder. I can definitely hear that. Let's go ahead and actually set this thing up and download Fortnite onto here. This thing is actually gonna be crazy fast. 120 FPS, I'm pretty sure. It's gonna be ridiculously fast compared to the original Switch, which is definitely gonna be really nice. Okay, so now that I have everything downloaded for this Nintendo Switch 2, I want to show you guys that you basically need to enable the 120 hertz display output. Kind of like on the PS5 where you basically need to enable it or else you will be playing on 60 hertz. If we go down to display and go down to 120 hertz output, you guys can see it says 120 hertz output will be enabled in both TV and software. And it's actually compatible with both 1080p and 1440p, so that is definitely really good. It will have a 120 hertz output if you connect it to like a monitor or anything as well. So yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 runs at 120 FPS. This is gonna be like a huge game changer for the Switch. Yeah, that's basically all you need to do on the settings. And I'm pretty sure Fortnite will literally just run 120 FPS on default. So let's go ahead and check this thing out. I'm actually really excited to see how good the Switch 2 is on Fortnite. Okay, now that I have Fortnite loaded up inside of this Nintendo Switch 2, it's like super weird, but it literally does not have an option where it shows the FPS inside the Switch 2. I've literally checked this entire thing and there's like no setting for show FPS. So I'm pretty sure we cannot even see what the FPS we're getting inside of the Switch. Kind of just based on playing on the game right now, it's definitely a lot smoother compared to the original Nintendo Switch. I'm honestly not even sure if it's like 120 hertz, but this thing is definitely 60 FPS though. This thing is definitely as smooth as like 60 FPS. It's definitely a lot better compared to the original Nintendo Switch. And actually every time I build, there's like a freaking vibration. How do I even turn that off? That's so weird. Fortnite and the Nintendo Switch is kind of new, so hopefully they release like 120 FPS really soon. But yeah, I'm pretty sure right now we're running about like 60 FPS. This thing is as smooth as 60, but it's like not as smooth as 120 120. I can definitely feel it. I mean, you guys can also see I'm just like straight garbage on the Switch. I heard there is a way to make these Joy-Cons into like a keyboard and mouse input, so I am gonna try that out. That should allow me to play on the Switch a lot easier because I've never played on like the Switch controls. I was about to say I was getting a hang of it, but I think I'm still just straight garbage. And also with the Switch, I'm pretty sure the graphics are still on like DirectX 12. Even on the Switch 2, there is no like performance mode, so kind of like PS5 and Xbox, you're kind of stuck on one graphic setting where there's still just like a ton of shadows and everything is like super high textures and stuff. If the Switch was running on performance mode, this thing would be like a lot smoother, but I think I'm getting a hang of the Switch though. I'm like low-key getting the hang of the Switch controls. Hold up, I think I could do 190. Hold up, watch this. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, 290s. Okay, never mind. Okay, so I actually figured out how to actually use keyboard and mouse input for the Joy-Cons on the Switch 2. And it's apparently these things right here. And it's actually a lot easier than I actually thought. Literally, once you connect these things, you could use it as like a keyboard and mouse input just like that. I honestly thought these things serve no purpose, but this is what it is. I don't think the original Switch had these things, which is really, really cool that the Switch 2 has it now. And basically, once you connect it to the Joy-Cons, it just enables like the keyboard and mouse input thing. It's obviously not going to be as smooth as like actually playing keyboard and mouse, but this is honestly a great alternative for people who don't want to play on like the Switch Joy-Cons. So yeah, all you gotta do is first take out these actual Joy-Cons, and I'm pretty sure all you gotta do is connect the Joy-Cons to these things right over here. Should be also magnetic, hopefully. Okay, no, it's not magnetic, but go ahead and place it in. It should look like this now, and all you have to do is move around. Okay, maybe you have to like enable it some way. I'm not too sure, but I saw someone actually use it like this, and this was apparently like the mouse. Okay, so if you guys take a look at this mouse input, so far you guys can see there is like a cursor on the home screen of the Nintendo Switch. So as I connected this thing over to the Joy-Con, once I actually move it literally like a mouse, you guys can see a cursor right over there, and this thing over here kind of acts as like the mouse button. So whatever I want to click, I can go ahead and just press it just like that. Honestly, not too sure what like the left side does, but let me actually go ahead and detach that and figure it out as well. Yeah, once again, you go ahead and just place this thing right next to it as well. And then this should be for like a keyboard movement. I'm not too sure. I still got to figure out how to actually use it in Fortnite though, just because in Fortnite, you guys can see, I don't see the cursor at all now. Okay, so I actually figured out how to use the keyboard and mouse input for the Nintendo Switch 2 now. And the Joy-Cons were definitely really, really confusing. It took me about an hour to actually figure it out. But yeah, you guys can see in Fortnite, I do also have the cursor going on. Also, I just realized that these things over here are kind of like mouse grip feet. So this Joy-Con, which is acting as the mouse, is definitely gonna have really good glide considering it has the feet and stuff. But yeah, the first thing you guys want to do if you are using the keyboard and mouse inputs is actually make sure to have gyro aim and gyro movements off. This thing basically disturbs the mouse movement, so you can't have both enabled at the same time. But once you have that, you guys will also see there is a mouse controls option for the Nintendo Switch now. So you guys can see we can choose which mouse control to actually use, either the right joystick or the left joystick. Obviously, I'm gonna go with the right one just because that's where you basically place your mouse when you're playing on like keyboard and mouse. And then you guys could also change the sensitivity for this as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and change to what I usually use. But yeah, you guys can see we have all these mouse controls now, and you guys can also see we have the cursor going on. Something I did also notice is that it doesn't work on creative for some reason, which is why it took me so long to figure out, because I thought it wasn't working, but apparently some experiences on Fortnite does not have the mouse input. So we're gonna go ahead and just go straight into an actual game. Not sure if it pairs us up with like Switch players still, but still shouldn't be too hard just because we do have a more familiar movement and like input now. But yeah, this is really cool. You guys basically could turn your Nintendo Switch into a gaming PC type of thing now. If you guys aren't really want to play on the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, which me personally, I never played on, so I'm just gonna be a complete bot if I do play on that. Okay, so in an actual game, you guys can see we are able to use the mouse input now. This was definitely a new and great feature for the Nintendo Switch, especially for someone who doesn't even know how to play on the Switch controls like myself. But there's definitely some input delay for like using the keyboard and mouse inputs on the Switch, mostly because this thing is being used as Bluetooth, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, other than that, I think we should be good to go. Obviously with this input, I'm pretty sure there's no aim assist, but I think I can honestly get the hang of this. It doesn't even seem that bad. The only annoying thing is this little string, because I keep on hitting the string when I'm actually like dragging the mouse. But yeah, I think the Switch is running about about like 60 to 90 FPS. I did see videos online and people are saying that it doesn't run 120 FPS. Hopefully in the future, they actually implement that into the game. But like for now, we are running about like 60 to 90 FPS, like I said. Where? Right here. Oh my. 26? No, get me out. This guy's not on Switch, bro. This guy is not on Switch. Get me out of here. Yeah, they might actually just place you with like other PC players, or maybe it's just like Switch players who are already really, really good. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. That guy's not a Switch player. I'm scared. I'm scared. That guy is not a Switch player. Who's this? Someone right here. Boom! There we go. Oh my. I just lost a fidgety Cape 354. Not gonna lie though, like with this mouse input, my aim is definitely still not even like that bad. Oh crap. Oh my. Oh my. Okay, we just gotta like get used to this thing. It's like, it works, but it's not the most ideal right now. Aiming and stuff on this like input isn't even that bad. I honestly got it down. It's like playable, really, really playable. I just don't know how to build. That's like the only problem right now. I just don't know how to build at all. Cracked. Okay. Oh my, this guy just ran away. Now this is definitely not as easy as actually playing keyboard and mouse, but it's definitely a lot easier than actually playing on the Switch like controls if like you guys don't know how to play on it. But yeah, the Switch is definitely like still very, very like smooth. The game is like no frame drops at all compared to like the original Nintendo Switch, which I believe did drop below like 30 FPS sometimes. All right, let's go ahead and see if I can even get like a second kill. I literally only have 1 kill right now. This isn't like a bad playing experience. I'm not like complete garbage, but definitely gonna take some time to get used to, especially with these controls. Oh, I can't see this guy. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. No. Shit. Oh my. Oh my. Please. Oh my. Oh, yeah. This is confusing. It's definitely confusing to play on this thing. Might have to go into like 0 builds or something, because I literally cannot build using these controls. Maybe in the future when I start getting used to it, but right now I'm like a complete bot still. It's not even like the Nintendo Switch. The Switch is definitely running really, really good at about like 60 to 90 FPS. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the game actually runs about like 90 FPS. It's like a little bit smoother than 60 FPS, but not exactly at 120 FPS. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of fighting. Hold up. Right here. Okay. Okay, my aim might still be very, very bad even with like this mouse control on the Nintendo Switch. But at least this is the Switch 2, because if they did have this feature on the Switch 1, playing on 30 FPS would just be like a nightmare for me. I'm still struggling even on like 90 FPS, so on 30 FPS. And I'm not gonna lie, like watching all those videos online made it seem like playing on this input would be so much easier, but I can definitely assure you, this is still a very, very hard input to play on. Mouse is like a weird shape, all this stuff that factors into it. Right here. Ooh, there we go. We got a kill. 59. Oh, that guy came back. Okay. Jeez. Also with this Switch, it doesn't really like overheat too much. I'm pretty sure like the original Switch when I played on it actually overheat like really easily. Compared to this one though, it doesn't really overheat, which is definitely really good. So 30. There we go. Got another kill. Hide. Oh crap. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm in like Nintendo Switch lobbies. These players are actually way too good to be Switch players. Either that or I'm just like a straight bot on Switch. Like I might actually just be like the worst player in this lobby. Oh crap. Oh my. Someone down here? There's someone down here. Hold up.
30. Nice. Nice. Hold up. 30. Cracked. Let's go. Let's go. Perfect. I'm dead. 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 Oh my, bro. This is okay. The Switch 2 is definitely good, but I'm just like a straight bot, bro. Let's go, bro. GG's. GG's.